Good morning, everyone. Good morning. See, we can be exciting twice in the morning, right? Well, first of all, I am State Senator Susan Rubio. I am your senator. I work in the state capitol with the governor and the legislature. And our primary role is just to create laws that help you, that help families. And it's a big world out there, but I wanted to come and be with you this morning because I wanted you to be part of my Wings program, which I created several years back. I already shared a little bit about it. It was when I was a council member here in the city of Baldwin Park that I created this. Because what I wanted to share with you is that a lot of the times, we see people like me and we think it's not attainable. So the one thing that I want you to walk out today with is, I was you. I was sitting in the same seat many years ago. I won't tell you how many years back, but I was you. So you're gonna learn a little bit about my story. And that's always important for me because I could not see myself ever being a teacher, which I was for 20 years. It wasn't a career that anyone shared with me that I had any possibility of pursuing. I never saw myself as a local councilwoman, which I was for 13 years here in the city of Baldwin Park, let alone be a state senator and lead the fourth largest economy in the world. And so I'm gonna give you a little bit of facts up front, just to share with you the challenges that women, young ladies face. When I ran for Senate in 2018, I remember my little speech, and my little speech was, there are no Latinas in the state capitol, in the state Senate, and I needed to see women, Latinas, representing our communities, because as you look around this room, we are the majority, but yet we had 0 Latinas in the Senate. So that's when I ran. And lo and behold, we go forward, and when I got elected, 4 Latinas got elected with me. So we broke a little bit of barrier there. Now we have 9 Latinas in the state Senate. And I'm gonna give you a little bit of fact too. We had very little women in the state Senate. And this past year, first time ever in California history, there are 40 senators. How many senators? 40. 40 senators. For the first time ever in California history, the women are the majority. First time ever. So that means that we are breaking barriers, we are moving forward, and my job is to inspire you to know that you can also do it. So there are 21 women. How many men? 19. So there you have it. If I can do it, you can do it. So we're gonna go back a little so you know where I come from, so you understand the challenges I had. And probably you had it a little better maybe than I did. And I only say that because I want you to know that no challenge is big enough to stop us from pursuing whatever we want to pursue. So I'm going to go backwards as I share with you. You need to know, I am you, I am your parents, I am your community. I was undocumented when I was a little girl. That means I was born in Mexico. I was born in Juarez, Chihuahua, across the border from El Paso, Texas. And so I didn't know what undocumented was, because as a 5-year-old, you've never even heard that word, right? It's a big word for a little girl. But when I was in kindergarten, my parents, myself, and my family were deported from Texas. And it's really interesting because normally I have to explain what that looks like and what that means, but raise your hand if you've seen it on TV every single day. Probably for a year now, right? Usually I have to explain what that means. Being ripped from your school and your community and just thrown into another country that you don't know. Now you understand it because we see it every single day, correct? So I was 5 years old. I was starting kindergarten in Texas, and my entire family was sent back to Juarez, Mexico, on the other side of Texas. So I was about 6 a year later when my parents decided that they wanted to come back. And they wanted to move further from the border, so we ended up in California for that reason. But the challenges don't stop there. We did move to Pico Union in downtown LA, which is a very, very dangerous place. So I grew up with a lot of gangs, a lot of drugs, a lot of violence, a lot of our friends being shot, a lot of our friends going to jail. And quite frankly, people like me are not supposed to be here because, again, friends of mine didn't survive. So, again, I share that with you because I want you to know that nothing is easy in life. And even then, I still didn't see a future for myself. I remember I was a very smart student. I was, but I don't think I recognized it at the time. I was always doing very good in school because the one, I would say, privilege I had was that I had both of my parents who always taught us that no matter what happens, education is going to be your success. So they were very clear that homework was important, going to school was important, and giving full respect to our teachers, our principals, and our authorities. So again, the world outside was really ugly, but our parents really said, don't lose the opportunity to educate yourselves. This is the opportunity to grow and find your place, but we still didn't think we could do more than graduate from high school. So anyhow, after that, we decided that, my sister and I decided we wanted to go to college because that's what some of the kids were doing. And even then, when I went to my high school counselor in high school and I said I want to go to college, he did say to me that I was a Latina and that I would be better off going to home economic classes, sewing classes. So they threw me in cooking classes, sewing classes, and a bunch of classes. To this day, I don't cook, and that's probably my trauma, right? But I did not go to college because he told me that I couldn't go to college, that I wasn't smart enough. So I didn't go to college right after high school. So all of you are way ahead than where I was because I hope that you are exploring college opportunities. And so what I did is I wandered a little while for about 6-7 years. I did, a bunch of little things here and there until one day my sister and I were watching a movie where I think it might have been Legally Blonde, where all these girls were having a lot of fun in college. Have you guys seen Legally Blonde? No, where they're in the sorority and they're having fun and they'll have friends. And her and I looked at each other and we said, why don't we go to college? We wanted to go to college so badly. And we realized that when we wanted to go to college, our counselor said we couldn't go. It wasn't for us. And we both decided we're going to try it. Regardless, whether we failed or not, we were going to try it. So I was 25 years old. She was 26 years old. And I'm just going to fast forward. I have a bachelor's degree in human development. I have a master's degree in education. I have a doctorate that was given to me by the University of Laverne. I've been a teacher for 20 years. I've been a vice principal for 3, interim principal for 1. I was a city council member locally here for 13 years. I was an elected city clerk for 4 years, and now I've been your senator for 7 years. So if I can do it, can you do it? Yes. And this is someone who was not supposed to be smart enough to go to college. So I hope that you take my lesson and know your worth. It doesn't matter where you come from, what your challenges are, or what you do, or where your parents come from. You can do anything you want to do. And I do teach a lot of classes called Changing Your Circumstance for young people like ourselves, people that have gone to juvenile hall, that come out. And I remember I used to always ask them, what do you think my parents do for a living? And it was always they're lawyers, they're council people, they're police officers. They would give me every single possible career where people are usually wealthy and, they have a lot of access to opportunities. And I want to share with you what my parents did for a living. My dad started out being a day laborer. He was the kind of person that sits out in the corner and will beg for jobs because he was undocumented. He couldn't pursue a regular job because he didn't have papers. My mother was undocumented, so she cleaned houses. My mother continued to clean houses for 35 years until she retired. In fact, I was a senator when she was still cleaning houses. And I remember one time a reporter asked me, how do you feel that you are a state senator for the 5th largest economy in the world at the time, and your mom still cleans houses? Which I found very offensive because I said, cleaning houses is what paid the bills. It's what put me through school, what fed me, and the reason why I'm here. So as long as it's honest work, it doesn't matter what my parents do. And my dad, eventually, we became, legal residents, and so he was able to now pursue a job. He worked for a company, and because my parents valued stability, he worked for that company for about 35 years as well. And so now, they're both retired. They own 2 houses, which I cannot afford these days. And so I wanted to share that with you because every time I go teach these kids and I say, why do you think you're in jail or why do you think you're getting in trouble? They always say, my parents don't speak English. And I will say to them, I'm a state senator and my parents to this day still don't speak English. Then they'll say, because we're poor. And then I will have to remind them that I was poor. Then they would say, you know, we didn't have any money. I mean, they could go down the list and I check off every single box. From being deported, undocumented, not speaking English, being a second language learner. I had teachers in kinder that couldn't even teach me because I spoke Spanish. And they would corner my brothers and I the entire day, not because they were mean teachers, it's just they didn't know how to teach second language learners. Fast forward, today we have a lot of programs that support second language learners, but back then it wasn't easy. So I wanted to share that because you need to know that the challenges are gonna be a lot and the barriers are gonna be many. But as long as you know that you can keep going and find your opportunity, find what you love, and keep pushing forward, I think that's key. Did I stop? I did not. And I could have had every excuse to stop every single step of the way. So I wanted to share a little bit more because one of the things that I do in the state legislature is I pass laws. And one of the things that I did as soon as I got to the Senate was figure out what I wanted to work on. And there were 3 things that were top of mind for me. And that was creating housing opportunities for families like yours, because housing is a big issue. Homelessness is a big issue. So when I got elected, I created what's called a housing trust. And in 5 years, we have built 1,000 affordable housing units for our families. And we built them in Duarte, Pomona, just all over, a few in Baldwin Park and a few in El Monte, Southern Monte. Anyhow, I wanted you to know that I found my passion. I'm gonna house those that cannot afford it. The other piece of it was education. Of course, it comes natural to me because I'm a teacher and I will continue to be a teacher. That was my first love and I'm still gonna do it as long as I can. And so my first year, I secured $10 million for teacher support so they can create programs for second language learners. I know how challenging it is because I was a second language learner teacher, so I taught kids that just crossed the border because I was good at it. But I know that we struggle with resources, so that's what I did. $10 million to ensure that teachers were supported. And the third piece of it was, I am a survivor of domestic violence. These are things that happen naturally in life. Raise your hand if you know what domestic violence is. Okay, so I got married thinking, like we all do, right? It's gonna be perfect and beautiful, but we could only be responsible for us. We cannot be responsible for others. And as hard as I tried, it wasn't a good marriage. It was abusive. So I found my mission. And so I have been internationally known. I get invited all over the world to speak on domestic violence because I've passed a lot of pieces of legislation, a lot of laws that help victims. Let me give you a couple of examples because I always know there's someone in the room whose either parent is going through it or you're going through it or someone's going through it. But in California, you only have 3 years if you wanted to come forward and tell the police that you were assaulted or abused. So I changed that because 3 years was not enough. So I changed the law from 3 years to 7 years. So victims have time to get out of the relationship, heal, feel better about themselves, and be able to get resources and support before they come forward. So we went from 3 to 7. The other thing that's very important for me to share for all of you is that I changed the law, which was the first of its kind, and now people are copying, replicating all over the world. I changed the definition of domestic violence. Before, it was a physical assault. That means someone had to push you, bruise you, give you a black eye, where we can physically see it, right? And if you went to court, the judge would not believe you if you couldn't show the bruises. Now I changed the law to include coercive control. That means when a partner is manipulating everything you do, from what you wear to the finances. For example, there's couples that are married and the significant other will take the paycheck. Every time they make paycheck, they take it away. So that is coercive control when they're manipulating your finances. They're not letting you make free decisions. Who you hang out with, who you go visit, and these are indicators that this is going to lead to violence. For example, when you have a boyfriend here in high school that is going through your phone, that is coercive control. I'm not gonna ask you about you. I'm very clear about that. But raise your hand if you ever seen a friend who is in a relationship and their boyfriend takes their phone because they want to check who they're talking to or see who they're hanging out with. Again, we're not asking about you. Raise your hand if you've seen that with your friends. I've been to high schools and I've taught, I think, 12 high schools in the last 3 months. And when I ask this question, it's almost the entire room. That is abuse. That is called coercive control. No one has the right to take your property. No one has the right to make decisions for you. That's called free will. You are going to do what you think it's best for you, not someone deciding what's best for you. So I'm not going to talk a lot about that, but as you can see, domestic violence is something that I focus a lot on. Lastly, I'm going to share with you. I saw it in our high schools. I saw it in elementary. I was an elementary school teacher, and I saw them pushing each other in elementary. So I knew that some families maybe grow up in households where that's normal, or no one teaches them what a healthy relationship looks like. And so I wanted to have a resource for our students if they ever were in trouble. So I passed a bill that's now requires that every ID card in all your high schools have the domestic violence hotline in the back of the ID cards. So from 7th grade to college, if you have an ID, and when you go home, check it, on the back of the ID, it should have the National Domestic Violence Hotline. So if you see a neighbor being assaulted, a parent, a friend, or you're not even sure, it doesn't matter. Pick up the phone and call and ask for help. So we'll leave the domestic violence there. Later on, you're going to be in a breakout session where they're going to teach you all about healthy relationships. But it is a passion that I found. I know that it was a really bad circumstance for me, but it did give me the courage to move forward and gave me the courage to pass laws. And now what I do is I save lives. I passed a lot of bills on human trafficking. I've been able to support human trafficking victims. I passed a law that says that if a human trafficking victim needs support, by law, California has to provide an advocate. So when they go to court, when they want to go to the police, they have someone with them every step of the way so they're not afraid. And so again, I'll leave it there. So I can go on and on and on. I've been a senator for 7 years, and students, families, low-income families, making sure our youth are safe, they're fed, they have a house, all those things are important to me. So the last thing I wanted to share with you is that I wanted to make sure that when you leave here, you don't think that our elected officials are perfect, because we're not. I know, because when I was younger, I used to think that if you were not related to the president or Nancy Pelosi or the Clintons, I never thought that you had an opportunity to be elected. It's just the world we live in, right? We don't see people around us that look like us. I grew up in a place where not even police officers looked like us. My teachers didn't look like me, and people around me never looked like me, so I didn't think it was possible. So I want to share my story with you, so now you know. You probably have it better than I do, because I was, again, very poor, undocumented, deported, didn't have any money, and I fought my way to the top. It's not easy. Let's be clear. It's not easy. Have I had some very difficult times in life? Yes, I have. I already shared my domestic violence, right? And so if nothing else, I need you to understand that everything is possible as long as you don't give up on yourself and you seek help and you seek resources. There's so many resources out there with your teachers, with your counselors, with your whoever it is, your parents. But you just have to ask. And so I know that our time is coming to an end. And so I want to make sure that you stay connected if you want to see what I do, what pieces of legislation I pass, and what I'm up to. I always post a lot, and it's called Rubio on the Move, and I'm always going from place to place. So if you want to stay connected, just make sure that you go to my social media. It is sd22.senate.ca.gov, and we're going to make sure that you have a way to copy it later on today. And my social media, Instagram is at sen, Susan Rubio. So again, you can follow all the legislation, you can follow everything that I do. And the highlight of my elected official career, and I'll tell you what it is. Raise your hand if you know who President Kennedy was, the one that was assassinated. Okay, we all know who he is, right? And I remember my very first year, I was trying to pass a bill that I didn't agree with. And then someone called me, and when I picked up the phone, it was one of the Kennedys. And I remember just being a little shocked, and she was talking about how she admired me on my domestic violence and how all the laws that I was passing and how she was looking forward to meeting me, but she had a request. She wanted me to vote on a bill that she felt strong